Hi everyone, it's Amanda. I wanted to come on and do a video about channeling, and it's probably a little bit overdue because I've been channeling for a number of years, and as my YouTube and Facebook page audience has grown, a lot of people seem to stumble upon the work and can stumble upon my work through a number of different ways. Over the last 6 months in particular, I've been channeling what I call the Heart Squad. And this is a group of souls who were famous in this life, who are coming back in spirit to help teach. And so far, we've had a look at Princess Diana, Freddie Mercury, George Michael, Prince, Michael Jackson, and tomorrow, doing this at the beginning of June 2019, I'm going to be trying to bring through David Bowie. So I thought it was a good opportunity before doing so to maybe just explain a little bit about my understanding of channeling and what I'm doing, what I am being asked to do by spirit. And when I say spirit, the main guide that I work for is Archangel Metatron. You can see a depiction behind me, but I'm very strongly linked to the angelic realm in particular. But I called my Facebook page Angelic Celestial Colours, I don't know, years ago. And at the time somebody said to me, aren't you doing a double name there? Isn't angelic and celestial sort of the same thing? But I sort of knew it really wasn't, because there's also this cosmic and also now galactic energy coming in as well. And those of you that follow me, particularly on my Facebook page, you will know that last week, as an example, we were talking about Mother Mary and we are going to be doing some work with Mother Mary's energy. I talk a lot about the angelics energy. The galactics are coming, Ashtar. And then we've also got this group, as I say, called the Heart Squad. But yet, really, channeling is sort of an old-fashioned word. It's very hard when you put things out because you have to use words that people are going to relate to or at least recognise to open the door. So my understanding really is that I much prefer to call myself an energy intuitive, because that's what I really think we do when we channel. So whether you are trying to link into an angelic energy, Christ, Mother Mary, or whether you are linking into spirit in a different form, so as an example, tomorrow David Bowie, however you want to say his name, the main thing is that really what you're doing is you're sensing energy, and energy doesn't die. Energy just transforms and is fluid, and energy can come and energy can go. And if we have been learning how to read energy, feel energy, hear energy, sense energy, experience energy, then anybody is able to channel. Of course, practice makes perfect. It's not something that the first time you try and do it, you're going to have necessarily an accurate interpretation. But it is something that I truly believe that everybody has the ability to do. The thing that stops most people from doing it is fear. It's fear of getting it wrong. It's fear of being judged. It's also our own internal fear in terms of showing up and saying, this is what I do. But it is, once you can get through those blocks, what happens when you hone your skills is it opens up a whole other world whereby you realise that really anything can be read with permission. And if you have an overall guide, such as I do with Archangel Metatron, very much you are introduced to the characters, the beings that higher power wishes to bring forward for whatever reason. And that's actually quite an important point, for whatever reason, because I think, not wishing to offend anybody here, but I think the old-fashioned view, certainly of mediums and channelers, goes back, you know, I'm linking back to particularly like the Victorian age, where it was very much a show. A show was put on, and this still happens, of course, these days. A show is put on, and there is almost like a performance aspect to it. And the audience sits and the audience waits, almost like I'm being shown a bingo card, you know. So like if you manage to correctly tap into a number of pieces of information that you supposedly know as a medium, if you are contacting that being, then you are credible, you know. And it's like you've got the whole sheet, so you must be credible. And of course, often there can be manipulation anyway, not obviously with good mediums, but I'm talking about these shows over, you know, the last few decades. I think the era we're entering into now is much less about performance and show, because to be honest, that aspect of it really doesn't interest me at all. It's not my thing. It's just not my thing. Where I'm coming from, and where I know this work is coming from, is that the beings that I am tapping into, whether they be, as I say, Freddie Mercury, whether they be Archangel Raphael, whether they be Ashtar, they are coming forward with messages that are important for the times that we are in. And what I've observed, certainly with the Heart Squad, is that all of them seem to have a particular area where we are being asked to look at our own stuff, heal things, and also open up boxes. So by that, with Prince, we clearly saw that the creativity box was being opened, and he wished us to explore that and bring out these qualities within ourselves of being a creative being. But they're all different. They've all got different strands of information to share with us. So I've written down a few little things over, I don't know, the last few months. And I thought I'd just share with you, you know, some of the points that I thought maybe might be worth exploring on a video. So the first question, let's just talk about the Heart Squad at the moment. It's really interesting in terms of, well, why would this group come forward at this particular time? Why now? Why is this happening now? Why have you got the likes of these people coming through? And of course, it's not just me. There are other good channelers out there that are doing this work as well. I'm just one of a team that I guess is out there on YouTube at the moment. But my take on it is that a lot of these people were heroes that lifted the world's energy when they were alive. And actually, heroes are important. It's important that we do have people to look up to, people that inspire us, people that make us feel happy, people that set the bar a bit higher for all of us, whether that be in music, sport, art, or anything else. And it feels as though we sort of got into a bit of a stuck groove towards the end, particularly of last year. I noticed it a lot myself. It's as though the vibration of Earth, even though, yes, we are ascending, yes, ascension is happening, there's a lot of stuck energy. And I know that a lot of light workers were feeling really quite despondent and impatient for the change, but bogged down with this sort of darker, lower energy. And I really feel that these stars basically are coming back to help to lift the vibration. And we also live in an era, whether we like it or not, whereby the vast majority of the population are still very influenced by the media. And that has got a positive and an absolutely negative side to it, of course. But you've only got to go into any supermarket in any town in probably most countries, and you'll see people, you know, queuing up to buy the magazines that tell them what's happening with, you know, these celebrities' lives. And it's almost as though people are more interested in that, some people anyway, than actually really doing the deeper spiritual work. I'm really talking about people who are maybe haven't been on their path for that long. And so I feel as though Spirit is very clever, very, very clever. Spirit will use any way that it needs to get people's attention, to wake them up, and to help this ascension journey that we're going through. And I really feel that Metatron, Archangel Metatron, who actually is one of the main beings that is said to be in charge, very earthy language, I know, but in charge of orchestrating and bringing through this ascension process at the right time, in the right way, when people are ready for it. He's the one that's been marshalling these troops the other side of the veil. And a number of them have literally put their hand up and said, yeah, you know, I can see what's going on down there at ground level, as it were. I remember what it was like. I remember how difficult it was. I remember my experiences that I had there on Earth, and I would actually like to come back and to help serve and to lift the energy once again, as I did when I was here. And I think that's a very strong reason why they're coming back. So the work is intended for that reason. It's not intended to answer every single question in terms of every loose end that has ever been left loose when these stars pass over. It's definitely not intended to be sort of a gossip session. I'm definitely not doing it for viewing figures. I can absolutely say that with complete certainty. If anything, this is the work that really pushes me out of my comfort zone. And, you know, I'm sitting here recording this in front of you. I've got this picture in front of me. Let me show you. So Mr. Bowie, okay, he's there. And I'm looking at him and I'm thinking, okay, right, David, well, tomorrow or the next day, we're going to try and have a communication. And there's part of me thinking, I hope it goes okay. I hope he comes through. I know he's going to come through, but I'm showing my human side. And that's actually really important as well, because I feel to be able to do channeling well, what you actually have to do is you actually have to get out of that place of ego. So at the moment, I'm sitting here thinking, oh gosh, I hope I can do it. But when you're actually in the space where you are doing it and you are bringing them through, you actually have had to let go of the rational ego mind, and you just have to absolutely 100% go for it. And if you get given something, even if you don't understand why you're being given a piece of information or what it means, you have to follow it through. And this is why also sometimes you'll see me channeling and you'll see other people channeling online, and they can stumble over pieces of information which they may very well know when they are out of that channeling mode, as it were. And it's just sort of me sitting here with a cup of tea talking to you. I'm in a different energetic state to that which I am in when I channel. When you're in a channeling vibration, as I say, some of the stuff that you know, you don't have it in your head because you've had to go completely 100% into heart space and trust and welcome in this other energy. And I always think that's quite interesting. And I'll tell you that the example that happened recently with that, just to illustrate that point, that was in the last Prince video that I did, and the mention of Jimi Hendrix came through with regard to playing guitar. And I said something when I was in that state along the lines of, I gave the impression that I didn't know who Jimi Hendrix was, or I knew who Jimi Hendrix was, but I hadn't quite correlated the guitar and Jimi Hendrix. Now, of course, myself here talking to you, I completely know who Jimi Hendrix is. Okay, I completely understand that he was one of the best guitar players ever to live. But when I was in the flow of that, I was in a different space where a lot of what I know every day isn't always there. I hope that makes sense, because that is the way that it works. Okay. Why have I called it the Heart Squad? Good question. I was told to call it the Heart Squad, to be perfectly honest. I was told to call them the Heart Squad. And they are people that seem to all have a lot of emotion around them, to have been able to have expressed that emotion in some shape or form, to have literally been able to have touched our hearts in some way. But this is the important thing, to still have the ability to keep opening our hearts now, to have the ability now at this pivotal time in the ascension journey, where we all need to be opening our hearts more and more and discovering more chambers of the heart. Some of the ways that that can happen is through the arts, it's through music, it's through sound, it's through colour, it's through a lot of the vibrations that these people who are within the Heart Squad operate with, okay? So that's why they're called the Heart Squad. And they are a squad. And what I'm being told here as I sit down is that very much like a football team, this is what Metatron's saying, imagine a football team. So a football team, you know, I can't remember how many people are in a football team, but say there's 11, I've no idea how many there are. Sorry, I'm not a football girl. But you have your number, don't you? So you always play in midfield, or you always play as captain, or you always play on the wings. And you are part of the first team, as it were, okay? But then there are also people who are, when I say in reserve, it doesn't mean they're less important. It just means that there's like a sub-level team that is just as important to keep the whole thing flowing. And I think the ones that have come through first are the ones who are in the first team, as it were, okay? So we're up to number 6 now with David, and we will see who else comes through. I do know some of the names that will be coming through at some point, and some of them have been said many times on my channel anyway, but I will just mention them because every time I do a Heart Squad video, people say, and what about Whitney? Okay, so we have Whitney Houston. What about Elvis? Yes, I know, Elvis Presley, absolutely. What about George? I'm talking about George Harrison. What about John Lennon? Yes. Just trying to think, is there anybody else? At the top of my head, I can't think of anybody right now, but those are the ones that I know are also bubbling up, as it were. Oh, yes, and this chap. I don't even know how to say this guy's name. So Avicii. Okay, I bought his CD this week. So I was in HMV, buying a Prince CD on Prince's birthday, and it was Prince who'd said, pick that up and buy that. And I thought I didn't know any of this guy's music, but I do, of course. I know the song, which is Wake Me Up, whatever that's called. I looked at it on YouTube, and let me just get it up, because I could not believe how many people had watched this one. What is it? It was over 1 billion. It was like extraordinary. Where is it? Wake Me Up. Anyway, the point is, when I go in and do this chap, I haven't got any idea about him. You know, I don't know his energy at all. So that'll be very, very interesting. But yes, I can see now why he's part of it. Something like 1.5 billion people have watched one of his videos in particular. So that means that his energy is reaching a huge portion of humanity that are currently alive. And so again, I know one of the things that what he wants to talk about as well, which is mental health, and men in particular who are really struggling with mental health. But that's for another day. It's not happening within the next couple of days. So how do we get onto him? Can't remember. But anyway, he's coming as well. Interesting that we've only got 1 girl so far. Oh no, 2. Princess Diana, of course. Sorry, Diana. But Diana and Whitney. Don't know who else, we'll just have to see. Right, the other really important thing with this work is the fact that, okay, I'm coming onto YouTube, I'm doing the videos, I'm presenting, for example, Freddie Mercury. Every single time, every single video, when it goes out, what happens is I get deluged with emails of people saying, oh my God, yes, I can feel them around me as well. And I don't understand it. How can I be feeling Freddie? Or how can I be feeling Michael? How can I be feeling David? What's going on here? Can you see what's happening? What they're trying to do also is to show you, A, that life is eternal, spirit never dies, but equally, they become accessible to anybody that wishes to tune in, link in to their energy. And again, this is like smashing through the glass ceiling, which says that it's almost like smashing through the whole mystery school teachings, which is sort of like only a select few can do this work, you know, only a select few. Years ago, I sat in circle. It wasn't quite a mediumship circle, but it was like a spiritual development circle run by a lovely lady, actually. And she always used to tell this hilarious story, which was that when she was in training years ago, and this was a woman who probably was very old school, and this woman said to my friend on the first day of the circle, she said, well, if you're lucky, you know, in a few years' time, you might hear something or you might get something, you know, and it's like, oh my God, you know, who would ever start anything if you're never going to hear anything for years? And let me just paraphrase that, because the truth is, some of us might have been on that path where it's like, I still can't hear, I still can't sense. They're coming through now. These amazing Heart Squad members, they're coming through now because they are more accessible. You can feel them. You're not imagining it. You know, the number of people that kept seeing the gloves with Michael, you know, just ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous, in the most ridiculous places. Each one gives different signs. With Prince, it's been, I don't know, birds cooing and all sorts of stuff going on with Prince. They're all different, okay? They're all different. And the other thing is, you will resonate with some of them and you won't resonate with some of the others. That's the whole point, you know, because we're all different. And what amazes me about it is, and again, this is Metatron that is behind it. He's known as the Grand Orchestrator. He is bringing together a group of souls from the other side who are all quite different. Okay, yes, they all belong to this Heart Squad energy, but they're all very different. They all seem to come from quite different star systems and origins, places of origin. And they're all unique in their own way. And they all seem to speak to different types of people as well. So I just know with David that, again, the same thing's going to happen as has happened with George, Michael, Freddie, all the rest of them. There will be another section of people who may find my work and what we're doing here and think, oh, this is a bit weird, this is a bit unusual. What's she doing there? But all I'm actually doing is I'm reading energy, I'm sensing energy. And I'm really happy to share what comes through, okay? So let's just see what else I've written down here. Oh yeah, I've written down here. So this thing about why can't I see anything? You know, why can't I hear anything? I've been doing this path for years. How come you can do it and I can't do it? What I've written down here is, I think what we almost need to do sometimes is take a step back and we have to ask ourselves, why do you want to be able to do it? Okay, I think that's a really important question. Why do you want to be able to do it? And if it's coming just from a place of ego, because, you know, I want to be able to do it, everyone else can do it, so why can't I do it? I personally, I don't know, it just doesn't feel quite right to me, that. What I've always been taught by Metatron in particular, and my other guides that I have around me, is that any skills or talents that I've got in this area have all come from the fact that I've basically been told I've got to get out there and do it. And then the more that I get out there and do it, it's as though then hopefully the gift, the talent, whatever you want to call it, seems to get stronger each time I do it. Because I'm doing it for a reason. I'm doing it to help. I'm genuinely doing it to help. I'm genuinely doing it to teach. I'm genuinely doing it because I really believe in it as well. And really importantly, I'm seeing the effect that it's having, because I get so many amazing emails and messages in from you, and I know it's having an impact. And so because it's being done for the greatest good, the highest good, to try to increase the levels of light, to impact healing and teaching on this planet, therefore they will help me to refine my skill, which still needs to be refined. Anybody who thinks they're the finished article is kidding themselves, to be perfectly honest. We're all in training all of the time, okay? And that's true for all of us, whatever our skills are in terms of intuition. We're all constantly evolving and hopefully improving. But I do think you have to ask the question, why do you want to have the talent or the skill or the intuitive ability? What are you going to do with it? Because the one thing I do know is that if you get given something, so say you hear something from spirit and you get given a message and then it just like stops at you. It's like, I'm not going to say that because I'm not sure. Fear kicks in. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm going to be mocked if I say that. It's like the energy dies as you close your mouth. You know, nothing else can then come through. So, I mean, as an example, because I know I'm doing David in the next day or so, I was thinking about the way I work is it's like getting to know them. That's basically what it feels like. It feels like you just get to know their energy. So I've got his picture here. I've played a couple of his songs. I've got the Starman Tarot out, which is inspired by David Bowie as well. And I'm just getting to know his energy, you know, whether it takes another day, another 2 days, I don't know. But, you know, he's here now. And so just sort of like this back and forward sort of exchange. And I was sort of saying to him, okay, so where are you from? You know, planetary wise, well, what feels right for you? You know, tell me, what is it? And I heard an Andromeda very, very clearly. So what do you do with that? Do you then just like, oh, but I'm not sure. Isn't he Pleiades? Isn't he this? Isn't he that? You can't do that. As soon as you do that, you stop all the other information that might come through about, for example, Andromeda, okay? So you have to trust what you get given and you have to go with it. That is really important. But you also have to think about, why am I even wanting to know, okay? Why am I doing it? Who am I doing it for? For what purpose am I doing it? And all of those things have to really be able to be answered with integrity. And again, if you've got a guide around you, such as Metatron or anybody else, that's almost like their job to sort of watch over you, and like they check in. It's like, is she doing it right? You know, is he doing it right? Is this, you know? So I've just noticed that myself. But hugely, this is about showing other people that we can all do this. Right, let me just go to my next page. Oh yes, I wanted to mention, this is a really important point, that the Heart Squad members that I've introduced so far, I tend to build a rainbow bridge between earth and spirit. And Metatron is the one that then almost like calls them over the bridge, okay? And we have this meeting point at the brow of the bridge. It's just one of my techniques. It's how I like to do it, okay? I'm quite structured. It works for me anyway, and they seem to all show up. But the point is that bridge is a place of healing. It's a place of healing for us in terms of anything that they then care to share on that bridge. But it also, I've really observed, it often is a place of healing for them as well. And that's been something that's really opened my mind, because traditionally you think, or I always thought in the past, well, we pass to spirit, we get healed, and then everything's hunky-dory, you know. And what I'm sensing very strongly is that, yes, there is massive healing that happens after death when you pass over onto the other side. And yes, you are at peace. But what seems to happen is when they come back over the bridge and become closer to earth, as it were, they get reminded sometimes of the things that went wrong there, the challenges that they had. They might get triggered by Earth's energy in terms of what we're doing. We saw that with, who was it? It was George Michael, the last George Michael channeling I did. And George really was talking about, I think he was talking about the animals, wildlife, And I don't know whether environmentalism came in a little bit, but it was quite a sort of socio-political energy that came in with him. And that was because he came back, and I think it just sort of reminded him, his soul was reminded of, oh my God, look what they're doing down there, you know? So there is healing that comes in then for us in terms of, come on, you know, look at that, look at the way you're treating animals, but also healing for them in terms of, oh, I'd forgotten how painful this is actually sometimes, what they're doing down there. And I still need a bit of healing for that, you know, because that's still, you're only triggered by something if there's a part of you that is a little bit unhealed, okay? We saw it with Michael Jackson. We've seen it with Diana, definitely. Although Diana seems to be pretty complete in terms of her healing. She's quite interesting. Of course, she was the first one that came through as well. So as an umbrella energy, the Diana energy is definitely over all of these stars so far. But as I say, doesn't mean that it will continue to be the case. But as of June 2019, she seems to be the umbrella energy. So I've written down here the bridge, the Rainbow Bridge, is a place of healing. It's not just a place of communication, and it's a place of communication and healing for the viewer, and also often for the one who comes back over, okay? So it's all very interesting. But also, I just wanted to say, so that's Heart Squad stuff, but the other thing about it is, remember that really what we're doing is we're sensing energy, okay? We're tuning into energy. So that is why you can go from Freddie Mercury or David Bowie to Mother Mary, you know, in the next day, because that's what we do all the time anyway. We're in and out of energy all of the time. We're in and out of energy within ourselves, within our moods, within our, you know, but also externally as well. So really it's about learning to read energy and sense energy and feel energy. And the other thing that's very important, actually, we'll say this now, is that to be able to do that, one of the key starting points, the most important starting point before you start anything, is you've got to have a good understanding of what your energy is, okay? So you know how you operate, you know how you think, you know your triggers, you know what you like. The more that you understand yourself and your own energy, then the easier it is to distinguish another different energy from your own, okay? And that takes practice and it takes time. But the most important thing is to sometimes just take a little bit of a risk, you know, and just see what you get. So I would encourage you, you know, after this next week when we bring David Bowie through, just, you know, listen to the video. I hope you enjoy whatever comes through, but also then try and develop your own connection. And the other thing he's saying here now as well, and a lot of them have said this, is that we need to lose the sort of the celebrity starstruck energy, because that is a barrier in itself. If you sit there and think, oh my God, I'm tuning into David Bowie or Princess Diana, who am I to do that? You're building up a great big wall of resistance for them to even get through. So you have to just appreciate that however great these people were, they were just human beings, and they are also souls, multifaceted souls, multi-dimensional souls, in exactly the same way that you and I are, okay? So there is just this feeling of unity when you're able to take it down to soul level and see them and feel them and sense them as souls, rather than as, oh, you know, Ziggy Stardust or any of the other connotations that go with the life that they had. We can refer back to it, but we have to drop the starstruckness. I think that's really important if you want a really genuine, day-to-day, practical, helpful connection. And if you do that, you're on your way to getting it. Okay, so with my ears ringing like anything, I think I'll leave it there. 34 minutes. I thought I was only going to come on for 5 minutes. So, but yeah, that's it for today, I think. I'm sure I will just now sign off and think, oh, why didn't I say that? But anyway, love to you all. See you next week. And yes, looking forward to bringing through David Bowie for you. Much love. Bye.